Hello. Don't you people have jobs? It's the middle of the day. What are we doing in this nightclub in the middle of the day? Hi, Amsterdam. How are you? Thank you so much for coming. I am so touched to be here. And a few thank yous before I begin. I have to thank my incredible publisher, The Busy Bee, who have been busy bees for me for so many years. This is the 4th time that they've brought me to Amsterdam, which is starting to feel like another home to me. I always have this fantasy when I'm here that I should move here. I should move here. This is one of the places in the world where I should live someday. Today I was in the taxi and I saw a woman who was like such a stereotype of my idea of what it would be like to live in Amsterdam. A beautiful woman on a bicycle with her nice raincoat carrying tulips. Literally carrying tulips. I was like, come on. Seriously? Like, you're not really doing that. That's only in advertisements, but... So thank you, and thank you to Happiness Magazine for promoting this and for putting this on, and thank you, of course, to the Paradiso, the legendary club that used to be a church, and then it became sacred when it became a rock and roll venue. So I feel a little bit like I'm the Rolling Stones right now, except at 11 o'clock in the morning. Oh, first of all, also, by the way, thank you for speaking better English than me, everybody that I've met so far in the Netherlands speaks better English than me. I have no idea how you do that. And not only that, they speak perfect English and then they apologize for their English. And I'm like, I'm in your country, speaking no Dutch at all except toi toi toi. And you are literally apologizing to me because your English is only 99.9% perfect. So thank you for accommodating my language in your country. Oh, and I have another thing. I have a special guest here, a dear friend of mine. Some of you have read a book called Eat, Pray, Love. Some of you may remember my Italian friend, Luca Spaghetti. He's in the audience today, visiting from Rome. With his wonderful wife, Juliana. 2 of my favorite people in the entire world. I spent the summer hiking in the Dolomites with Luca and Juliana and their 3-year-old child and my 74-year-old father. A very interesting experience. Luca also is famous because he's the only person in the history of Hollywood who was played in the movie by somebody less handsome than him. It's just never been done before in entire history, but it was there. So thank you all. I feel this great warmth to have friends in the audience, friends who I love and friends who I am yet to meet but feel like I do know. So I have a question before I begin. How many of you do I know from social media, from Facebook? I love you guys. Thank you. And the reason I ask you that question, first of all, thank you for being with me on my Facebook page every day, because that's a very important part of my life, and I love the international conversation that we've been having on that page for many years now. The other reason I mention it is because this book is for you. This book would not exist without my Facebook community. And the reason I say that is because I've been thinking for 12 years about writing a book about creativity. And the reason I was thinking about this for so many years is because I have a relationship with creativity that is different than the stereotypical relationship of the tormented artist. And I've always had a relationship with creativity that's different from that. Ever since I was a very young teenager and I made a commitment that I was going to become a writer, my relationship with this work has been a relationship of love and pleasure and satisfaction and joy and unfolding. I've always felt like this work is bringing me to life. So I don't feel, it doesn't mean it's easy. It just means that it's still, on the hard days, the most interesting possible thing that I can do with my life. I have such gratitude to my creativity. I have such love for my creativity. And for years, I've been frustrated whenever I see again and again and again the stereotype of the tormented artist whose talents destroy him, rather than the idea that I have about creativity, which is that your work will actually save you and will actually bring you to life, not destroy you. And I've wanted to talk about this, but I didn't really know how or what this book should be. And for a long time, I thought maybe I should do this very academic, very scholarly, heavily researched book about creativity where I would read thousands of reports about neuroscience and creativity and biology and creativity and evolution and creativity and anthropology and creativity. And so for years I was collecting all of these very heavy books. And then one day I looked at these hundreds of books that I had never read on my bookshelf that were all about like the science and the history and the culture of creativity. And I thought, if I have to read even one of these books, I'm going to fucking kill myself. I'm sorry, I swear a lot. I have no control over it. If you're offended, I apologize in advance. It will continue. Where was I? Oh yeah, I'll fucking kill myself. Okay, so I thought, I don't care. I don't care about any of this information. I'm very happy that somebody cares about it. I'm very happy that someplace there's a scientist in a laboratory doing research on how the brain functions with MRIs and limbic systems and creative inspiration. I don't care, personally, because the thing that's going to get me to work every single day on my creative projects is not a scientific understanding of creativity, but a magical understanding of creativity, something that I feel more than something that I know. And so that was one piece of liberation. I'm proud to say that in this book, there is not a single fact. Not a single fact. It's completely just what I feel, what I believe, and how I live. And the other reason that I mentioned Facebook is because when I began this project, some of you who follow me on Facebook might remember that I put out a message on my Facebook page, and I said, I'm about to begin writing this book about creativity, and I have a question for everybody. If you are not living a creative life, if you are not exploring your creativity actively in your life right now, why not? Tell me the reasons why. And I got back thousands of answers and thousands of reasons. Like some of you had long lists of all of the reasons why you don't engage with your creativity in your everyday life. And I read them all because I was looking for sort of clues and information. And I have to tell you that all I could see in the reason after reason after reason after reason was fear. That's all I could see. Just this kind of fear, that kind of fear, another kind of fear, a different kind of fear, 1,000 faces of fear, of reasons that people are not living more creative lives. And at the very bottom of the fear, what I could see was a sense that people had that they don't have permission to do this, that they are not entitled to do this, that they're not talented enough, that they're not special enough, that they don't have the right training, they didn't go to the right school, that they don't have the right kind of time in their life, they don't have the right sort of discipline, that they are not a special person. And therefore, they are not allowed to have any sort of relationship with creativity at all. Creativity belongs to the special people, to the formally trained people, to the people who grew up in the right kind of families, to the people who went to the right kind of art schools, to the tormented people, to the elite people, to the precious people. It doesn't belong to all of us. And that's fucking bullshit. That is bullshit. It's just not true. Creativity is our shared, common human inheritance. It belonged to your ancestors, it belongs to my ancestors, it will belong to your children. If I had children, which I don't have, it would belong to my children. It will belong to all of our descendants. This is the definition of what it means to be a human being. We are the creative ape. We are the only species in the entire world that does this strange behavior, this very strange behavior, which is to take nothing and to add something to it, to see it in a different way and to turn it into something that didn't exist before. It's a very strange thing to do. We're the only species that does this decoration, that decides that we want to make something prettier, or that we want to change the way something is engineered. Every single inch of this planet has been altered and shaped by human beings who looked at something and thought, that should be different. Your whole city, Amsterdam is a fantastic example. Your entire city was made of creativity. Somebody looked at this place and said, we don't need the water here. Let's move all the water here. Let's just, like, somebody had a vision for how to create something that was not there. And they got together and they did it and they made something, and therefore they changed their world and they changed themselves in the process. The reason that I think there is so much fear that people have about creativity is because it is essentially a very weird thing to do. It's very weird. Essentially, when you decide that I'm going to engage in creativity, what you're doing is this. You're saying to the universe, I'm going to take the most precious thing that I have in my life, which is my time. My time. We all know that we don't live forever. We all know that we're mortal. We don't know how long we have, but we all know that life is short and every hour is precious. So when you decide to engage in creativity, you're saying, I'm going to take my precious time, the most valuable currency that there is in the world, the one currency that when you spend it, you can never get it back. And I'm going to invest that time in making something that nobody really needs, and maybe nobody really wants, and maybe nobody will like, and maybe nothing will come of this. So of course it's a scary thing to do, because there's going to come a moment in the process where you ask yourself, why am I doing this? There's so many other things I could be doing with my time. Besides this, I could be having sex. I could be eating delicious food. I could be exercising. I could be spending time with my children and with my family. I could be sleeping. I could be watching television. You guys, right now, it's the golden age of television. There's so much good television. You should all be watching television. There's amazing things on. Why are you doing creativity when you could be watching television, right? There's so many things that you could be doing besides this weird, strange, irrational behavior where you sit down and you spend your life and your energy and your time making something for no reason whatsoever. It's a very bizarre thing to do. And so, of course, there comes a moment where you have like a religious crisis around it, where you ask yourself, what is the purpose of this thing? Why should I do this? My favorite letter that I ever got from a fan, also one of the craziest, was from a woman who wrote to me, and she said, Dear Liz, I have an incredible story in my life. I've had an amazing life. I have an incredible story to tell. It should be a book. I want you to write it. Now, this is not unusual. I have to say, this happens to me a lot, where people will come to me and they'll tell me, you need to write my book. You need to write my story. Normally, the next thing the person says is, I want you to write it because I really love your writing, or I want you to write it because I think you would do a good job, or I want you to write it because I think your readers would enjoy it. This woman had a totally different version. The next thing she said was, I want you to write my book because exercise and fitness are very important to me, and I don't want to spend a few years sitting on my ass writing my own book, so I think you should do it. I love it. What a fantastic idea. I love that her idea was, obviously, Liz Gilbert, you don't mind sitting on your fat ass for hours, like you do it. I'm not gonna do it. I cut the top of the letter out, and I put it in a frame on top of my desk because it makes me laugh every single day. Like, yeah, I have a great story, but I'm a little busy exercising, I don't have time to do this. And I love it because she has a point. Exercise is important. I don't want to sit on my ass doing this. A lot of things in my life are important. My family is important. My job is important. There's a lot of things that are important. Why should you do this? Why should you waste your time making something creative? And the answer, very simply, is I don't know. I have no idea. It's indefensible. It's very irrational. Nobody ever went into a bookstore filled with thousands of books and said, this world needs more books. Look at the museums you have in Amsterdam. Nobody ever went into a museum and said, there are not enough paintings in the world. I need to make some more paintings. There's no shortage of superfluous things that nobody needs. And yet, for some reason, we feel moved and called to create new things that nobody needs. We all feel it at some point in our life. We all feel it. Why do we do it? I don't know. I only know this, that it's the best life you can have. It's the best life you can have, is to devote some of that irreplaceable treasure of your time to making something for no reason. Because what you're saying when you do that is that I have enough time. I have an abundance of time. I have extra time. I have enough time. My life is not just about paying bills and waiting to die, right? I'm not just here to work hard, pay bills, and die. I'm also here to contribute to the beauty of the world. I'm here to tell my story. I'm here to share my music. I'm here to do what the very oldest art in the world is from 50,000 years ago, to put my hand in some color, and put my hand on the wall, and leave a mark, and say, I was here. And while I was here, I wasn't just being productive. I wasn't just being responsible. I wasn't just taking care of business. I was also leaving a mark on the wall of my life to say that I existed and that I had a little bit of extra time and a little bit of extra space to think about beauty and to think about joy and to think about pleasure. That's why I do it, because I feel like it's sacred to do that, because it means that your life is about more than just being a little piece of the machine that keeps the engine going. You're also here for ridiculous amounts of beauty, ridiculous amounts of joy, ridiculous amounts of love and pleasure, and ridiculous amounts of wasting time. I hope you will all allow yourself to waste more time, make more art, create things that nobody wants, create things that nobody likes, create things that nobody needs, in order to prove that you were actually here as a human being and not just as a robot in the machine. That's what we're here for. Thank you so much. And if anybody needs me, if exercise is important to you and you need me to do your work for you, I will be happy to write books for everybody in this room.